Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I thought the official cool guy of the Digital Asset Investor channel had retired, at least retired from doing his cool guy walks down the street in New York, but apparently he has not, because Gary opened up the cool guy window back up, I guess.
Gary, are you there? Gary, this is either negligence or an intentional act. I don't know which one is worse.
So I was sitting yesterday, I think I was at, I want to say, because it was around this time. Yeah, I was sitting in my truck waiting on my son. My son was at the dentist. My 11-year-old was at the dentist getting a cavity filled. And I'm sitting in the truck and I saw the tweet come across. It was this tweet from the SEC. Today, the SEC grants approval for Bitcoin ETFs for listing on all registered national securities exchanges. The approved Bitcoin ETFs will be subject to ongoing surveillance and compliance measures to ensure continued investor protection. And it had this graphic of Gary, okay? Looked like a tweet that it was ready to go. And then, so Eleanor Tarrant had tweeted, you see that tweet's deleted now. Okay, and then then the nightmare unfolded, folks. Does this look like a fake tweet from a hack? No. Then we get this. Gary Gensler tweeted this like very shortly. The first one was at 4:15. This one was at 4:26. The SEC Twitter account was compromised and an unauthorized tweet was posted. The SEC has not approved the listing and trading of spot Bitcoin exchange traded products. Then we get the SEC handle itself. The SEC X account was compromised and an unauthorized post was posted. The SEC has not approved the listing and trading of spot Bitcoin ETF. And I immediately, I've known plenty of people who had their X accounts hacked, and it doesn't take, minutes to get it back. No matter who you are, it takes months often to get it back. But not for the SEC. They recovered it immediately, within minutes. Brad Garlinghouse, he smells a rat too, I guess. Days like this remind me that one, the SEC should be investigating itself for multiple things. Two, crypto Twitter remains undefeated in memes. You got that right. Here's CNBC's take on it.
But Gary Gensler's Twitter account, I suppose, has not been hacked, so far as we know. The part to me that's weirdest about this, we're in a time when we expected the news to come through this account, but then we're hearing about the hack through the same platform where they apparently were hacked. Is there any kind of a press conference or statement outside of X that we can expect to hear on this?
So I should clarify, John, the statement that we got from the SEC was from an emailed SEC spokesperson here. So we have an emailed statement from the SEC clarifying what's going on Twitter and X. Although, again, Gary Gensler's account retweeting that and putting out a similar statement that, yes, that account has been hacked. But taking things away from X and Twitter for a second, we do have an official statement from a verified SEC spokesperson here over email that says we have not made a decision yet.
Okay. So there's that. And then we've got this from Charles Gasparini breaking. The Bitcoin ETF announcement hack would have violated new SEC rules adopted in July that require a high level of cybersecurity risk management. Securities lawyers tell Fox Business. I mean, this is just hilarious, folks. It's hilarious. This guy should have, in private practice, private industry, Gary Gensler would have been fired 10 times over by now. This guy's an incompetent boob, but worse than that, he's not just incompetent. He's a liar. He's a proven liar. Over and over and over, these people have lied. The corruption is rampant, and everybody knows it. It's bad enough to be incompetent, but to be a government official representing the United States of America, and you're a bold-faced liar on top of everything and proud of it? Then it says SEC insider said Bloomberg just now, unfortunately the spot Bitcoin ETF must be delayed because of the hack on the SEC account on X, and they must investigate who hacked it internally. Like they want to, like another excuse to put this off. Please.
We have to actually go back and clarify something here. We did report here that the SEC had posted on X that they had actually approved Bitcoin ETFs. A spokesman is now telling Bloomberg that Bitcoin ETFs have not received approval on this Tuesday here. Now have further headlines here from Gary Gensler himself saying that the SEC Twitter account was...
Okay, so more of that. Then Stuart Alderati, per its own rules, within 4 days the SEC should disclose the incident's nature and scope and the impact of the market, along with a description of its processes for assessing, identifying, and preventing such cybersecurity threats. David Schwartz tweeted about it, how it started, how it's going. Careful what you read on the internet. The best source of information about the SEC is the SEC. And then Gary Gensler's tweet saying that they've been compromised. Senator, the people in Congress are not happy about this at all. Just like the SEC would demand accountability from a public company if they made such a colossal market-moving mistake, Congress needs to answer on what just happened. This is unacceptable. Senator Loomis went on to call it a fraudulent announcement like the one that was made on the SEC social media can manipulate markets. We need transparency on what happened. Then here's the hack timeline. At 3:11, they tweet that the ETFs are approved. 3:26. I thought it was full. I thought it was, well, maybe that's right. Gary Gensler says it's a hack. SEC regains control of their account literally within 20-something minutes. 3:42, SEC tweets they're hacked and have not approved ETFs. My question is this: how many losses, failures, lies, accusations by judges of a lack of faithful allegiance to the law and incompetence does it take to get fired in government? Gary jumped the shark a long time ago. Today he jumped Jaws. When fire Gary Gensler? When subpoena Patrick McHenry, Tom Emmer, Warren Davidson, Tommy Tuberville, Senator Ted Cruz? When? Enough of the letters, tweets, and talk. Then X comes out with this from their safety department. We can confirm that the account SEC was compromised, and we have completed a preliminary investigation. Based on our investigation, the compromise was not due to any breach of X's systems, but rather due to an unidentified individual obtaining control over a phone number associated with the SEC account through a third party. We can also confirm that the account did not have two-factor authentication. So here's this agency, folks, in the United States of America, one of the biggest agencies in the country, in the world. And they're not competent enough to have two-factor authentication on their X account when they have this level of responsibility over markets. Think about that for a minute. You know, Gary's supposed to be this Ivy League. He's the smartest guy in the room, right? Well, I have two-factor authentication. Do you? These people are not smart people, folks. These people are chosen because they will aid and abet their corrupt puppet masters in whatever their game plan is. Has nothing to do with smart. Makes me sick because they're destroying our country. Nearly $90 million worth of Bitcoin long and short positions were liquidated after a series of fake tweets on Bitcoin ETF approval led to price volatility. Then we've got this. They're already sending out the letters. More letters. Senator Vance and Tom Tillis demand explanation for SEC's errant announcement of the approval. It's unacceptable that an agency entrusted with regulating epicenter of the world's capital markets would make such a colossal error. Let me send these senators a message. Sorry, guys. But Gary will continue to ignore you and laugh at you because none of you have had the guts to subpoena. I always mess up on that word. I always have to use the spell check. Subpoena, I always forget how to spell it. Because none of you have had the guts to subpoena his butt. Until you do, the incompetence lying train continues to roll down the tracks. Let me copy these guys in there so they can see that I'm calling them gutless, because it's time to call our congressman gutless because they're not doing anything but talking. JD Vance, you too. Let me see if I worded that thing right. Sorry guys, but Gary will continue to ignore you and laugh at you because none of you have the guts to subpoena his butt. Until you do, the incompetence lying train continues to roll down the tracks. That's the fact jack, folks. You got to see it real time. Speaking of dishonesty, lying, incompetence, Wheezy did a Freedom of Information Act request back October 13th, 2023 with the SEC to find out, they wanted to find out what Dahlia Blass's calendar, who was a person at the SEC, and they just responded saying that they found no information for her calendar. And any calendars that exist are for personal use. Does that sound familiar? Remember how they lied about the Bill Hinman speech being his own personal opinion for over a year and made Ripple spent $100 million to disprove their lie? And then they disproved it, and then the SEC just changed what they said. Oh, no, it was the opinion of the director. It was the opinion of the Department of Corporate Finance of the SEC. In other words, it was a sub-opinion of the SEC, but not the SEC's opinion itself. I mean, what in the world? And then we have this. Here's the Squawk Box getting right on back to their carrying the narrative.
That's what you're saying. It was transitory all along. It was, it wasn't, it was, it is, it wasn't. It. So now we decided we're back to that. Okay, so just to end on, give me your 1 year and 5 year price target for Bitcoin.
I think in the next 12 months, something over 100,000, maybe 150,000. And, in the next 5 years, again, there's a finite supply, and now we have a potentially huge increase in demand with a spot Bitcoin approval. So I think in 5 years, something around 500,000 would be potentially achievable.
It's all just so mind-boggling, Tom. And anybody that just says you're just insane hasn't been following your work. You might be, but you've got enough credibility with all your good calls to where at least I would think some skeptics would say, would start thinking about it. Does it make you think about it, Andrew?
Sure. My question to Tom is, do you think that this is going to upend the idea that people will buy Bitcoin directly? Meaning people who historically would have wanted to buy Bitcoin, do they continue to buy Bitcoin through a Coinbase or through some kind of other platform or exchange? Or do you think it basically becomes not a speculation, but just an investment through ETFs, and that's how this all works?
I think there's probably a generational divide at work. I think that, a lot of the younger generation of investors want to be my keys, my coin. So they want to own the private keys. But as you know, there's a generation of folks that would rather allocate through their 401k or through public markets or liquid assets. And, if you look at the percentage of assets held by those over age 50, it's close to 76% of all wealth in America. It's over $120 trillion. So I think that cohort is still going to prefer to own it through public markets and public proxies.
Okay, and then this was going around yesterday. Now, I don't know what happened. Maybe because he's talking about Ripple and XRP, all of a sudden you can't watch this video on Twitter. I can't get this this video to play, but what it is it's the Valkyrie Fund's chief investment officer on Bloomberg. And he says it wouldn't surprise him if we saw a Ripple XRP ETF and Ethereum spot ETFs coming to market now that the SEC is about to approve one for Bitcoin. I don't believe that this comes out of nowhere. Now, right here, this is an interesting comment. It says, my money is that XRP will not be approved, but Ethereum and Bitcoin will. The reason is because it is intended to go down in flames with Tether once it collapses and then demonetize it. I think that's what they must have meant. What is the solution once this happens? CBDCs and XRP. They don't want to mix them in the same pot once the shit hits the fan. How about that little thought pattern, folks? I think that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Now, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com. First, I want to remind everybody, you can get your XRP Las Vegas tickets in there at a $25 discount. And XRP Las Vegas, I've been hearing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. It's going to be it's going to be bigger than last year, I can promise you that. And it's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot going on this year. This is going to be a totally different ball game. And yesterday, anybody that was there last year would tell you it was awesome last year. But this coming year in May 2024 is going to be twice as awesome. Write it down. So go to DAIXRP.com now, and that's to get a $25 discount. But also today we're going to talk about, Jim Rickards came out and said something that I can't talk about on this channel. He was talking, first of all, he was talking about how fast the loss of the dollar as the world reserve currency status could happen and why. So don't forget, folks, Miles Franklin, my physical gold supplier, is in the description of this video. The code's DAI Gold, the phone number and the email address is there. And if you're in the group and you watch this, you'll think again about going and getting some physical gold. I know I am. But also, there's something else he said in there about, I can't even say it out here. I'm not going to say it, but it's something that I've never been allowed to talk about on YouTube. And make no mistake, there's a lot of things you can't talk about out here. So here we go. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Check it out, DAIXRP.com. Here we go.